Hello, class. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes to walk you through some of the important steps of turning in your All My Sons essay rough draft. So just as a reminder, we've been working on this for several weeks now. At this point, you've written 5 different timed writing paragraphs for me. They were about all of the formation themes. You can find those all back here. In the classwork section of Google Classroom. I can show that to you real quick right now. What you should be able to go back and see in all of these essays, timed writing number 3, for example, if you scroll down, things like timed writing number 2 and timed writing number 1, you should be able to see all of the notes that I've left you so far to make your changes, make your adjustments, and you're now going to add everything, all of those timed writing paragraphs for the 5 body paragraphs, and then what you did Friday, the introduction and the conclusion, all into one document and submit that as your essay rough draft. So I wanted to give you a couple of reminders and some examples for how to do that. So hopefully everything goes well. So here in front of me, I have my own sample centrality of Christ essay. I have my own example primacy of faith paragraph. And then I have the document that I'm eventually going to put everything into right here. And this will be my rough draft. All right. We might end up going on to the second video for this, but that's okay. Just bear with me. So first of all, I have the centrality of Christ paragraph. I believe this is one of the first ones that we wrote together. So I'm going to break it down for you here. This is my centrality of Christ paragraph. I typed the whole thing. I started out explaining what the centrality of Christ is in my own words. I even used a quote from 1 John. And then I move on to say that one of the examples of this can be found in Frederick Douglass. I go to explain some things about Frederick Douglass's life, give a quote about some of his experiences, and then explain how he lived through that to display for us what it means to live a life with Christ at the center. So I have this paragraph. I then have this other, it's not really a primacy of faith paragraph, but it just kind of outlines it. It says, you started with an introduction to primacy of faith. That's your first sentence. Then you define it, maybe even give an example from the Bible, 2 sentences down. Then you provide an example from literature. And this is the main part of your paragraph. You then tell us about the life and story of one character or author who displays the virtue of the primacy of faith with at least one quote from the text as supported for your argument. And finally, you close with a brief statement explaining how the individuals you referenced above display the primacy of faith in their life and actions. So, what you're going to do, you're going to take all of these individual paragraphs, hopefully you have 5 of them, and then add them to whichever document you already wrote your introduction and conclusion in on Friday. You'll have your MLA header, student name, my name, it's English 3, for All My Sons essay, and it's due March 30th. That's today for the rough draft. Have some sort of title. You have your introduction that you just wrote. You can look at this for an example. And then you have your thesis. We're going to get back to this in a second. But for today, your thesis will be very important because it's going to inform some of the changes that you make to the body paragraphs. All right. And from here, you're literally just going to take all of the body paragraphs you already have written and just start copying and pasting them in. So I'm going to do that with my centrality of Christ paragraph. I want this to be body paragraph 3, copy paste, go to the next line. I grab the primacy of faith next paragraph. I might have said primacy of faith for both, but that's okay. You get the idea. You have in order all of your body paragraphs. For me, I wanted it to be in the order of mastery of self, then necessity of the other, then centrality of Christ, followed lastly by primacy of faith. I'd have my 5th and final paragraph that I wrote last week on Wednesday here, and then my conclusion at the end. So then you'd have a little paragraph. Followed by conclusion. And then on the last page, you would have your works cited. For the next part, I am going to go to the next video, so please switch to that one really quick.